Antonio Brown. That's Antonio Brown without his uniform, we are told, without his jersey.
January 2nd, 2022. The last time Antonio Brown will ever put on an NFL uniform. What was once a promising career on track for the Hall of Fame came to an end that day. Is CTE to blame? Or is it true what they say money magnifies your true personality? Antonio Brown's football potential was unmatched during his tenure in the National Football League, or NFL. With remarkable achievements, including leading the league in receptions and receiving yards multiple times, as well as earning numerous Pro Bowl honors and first-team All-Pro selections, Brown cemented his status as one of the greatest wide receivers in NFL history. His journey began as a humble 6-pound pick by the Steelers, where he quickly rose to prominence with his exceptional skills in the field. However, despite his stellar career, Brown's legacy has been overshadowed by a series of controversial incidents. From dramatic exits during games to off-field controversies, Brown's behavior often made headlines for the wrong reasons. Whether it was his abrupt departure from the field during a Buccaneers-Jets game or his tumultuous stint with the Oakland Raiders, Brown's actions drew scrutiny and raised questions about his character. Furthermore, his public feuds and confrontations, including his trolling of quarterback Tom Brady, added fuel to the fire. Most recently, Brown made headlines once again with a warrant out for his arrest. The fall from grace of a once beloved player has left fans wondering how it all went wrong for Brown, who was once adored by Steelers fans and celebrated as a Pittsburgh icon. Antonio Brown began his NFL journey when he was drafted 195th overall by the Steelers in 2010, courtesy of a pick acquired from Arizona. After impressing during training camp, Brown secured the 5th spot in Pittsburgh wide receiver depth chart. In his rookie season, Brown showed promise, tallying 16 receptions for 167 yards in 10 games. However, he truly shined in the playoffs, making critical plays that helped propel the Steelers to Super Bowl 45. The following year, Brown's sophomore season, saw a significant leap in his performance. As the team's third wide receiver, he racked up an impressive 69 catches for 1,108 yards. Notably, Brown made history by becoming the first player in NFL history to surpass 1,000 yards, both receiving and returning. By 2012, Brown had firmly established himself as a key player for the Steelers. In 2013, he was elevated to a starting role and set new records along the way. Brown broke the Steelers' single-season receiving yards record previously held by Yancey Thigpen and joined the ranks of franchise legends like Hines Ward by surpassing 100 receptions in a season. Additionally, he made NFL history by recording at least 5 catches and 50 yards in every game of the season. So where did the recklessness start? Some say it began in the 2015 playoffs. In 2014, Antonio Brown had a standout season, setting team records for receptions and receiving yards. However, in the following season, in a playoff game against the Cincinnati Bengals, Brown suffered a devastating hit from Vontaze Burfict, leaving him unconscious with a concussion. This incident reignited discussions about chronic traumatic encephalopathy, a progressive brain condition linked to repeated head trauma in sports like football. In addition to the injury, Brown stirred controversy during the playoffs by live-streaming a locker room celebration on Facebook Live after a victory. However, the stream inadvertently captured Steelers coach Mike Tomlin referring to the New England Patriots as assholes, sparking widespread controversy for Brown and the team. Despite the ups and downs, the Steelers recognized Brown's talent and commitment, signing him to a lucrative 5-year extension after the 2016 season, making him the highest-paid wide receiver in the NFL. Brown continued his dominance in 2017, leading the league in receiving yards for the second time in his career. And then came 2018. This marked the start of what many would describe as a turbulent downward spiral in Brown's career. Before the 2018 season began, Brown found himself embroiled in a lawsuit following an incident in April of that year. Allegedly, he threw furniture from the balcony of his 14th-floor South Florida apartment, narrowly missing a 2-year-old child in the pool deck below. The lawsuit was eventually settled a year later. Just 2 weeks into the season, Brown made headlines again when he threatened reporter Jesse Washington in a tweet over an article focusing on his social media activity. He later apologized for his actions. Additionally, Brown was cited for speeding over 100 miles per hour on McKnight Road midway through the season. Tensions between Brown and the Steelers continued to escalate despite the team's strong 7-2-1 start to the season. Rumors circulated that Brown was envious of the attention received by second-year wide receiver Juju Smith-Schuster, especially after Smith-Schuster was named the team's 2018 MVP, a decision that reportedly irked Brown. To say that Brown's departure from Steelers was tumultuous would be an understatement. His final game with the team occurred on December 23, 2018, against the Saints in New Orleans. Despite Brown's impressive performance of 14 catches for 185 yards and 2 touchdowns, the Steelers lost the game due to a fumble in the final seconds. The following week, Brown's relationship with the Steelers reached a breaking point. Following an argument with Ben Roethlisberger, Brown skipped multiple practices in the week leading up to the Steelers' crucial game against the Bengals, the match they needed to win to secure a playoff spot. Despite missing the team's Saturday walkthrough and meeting, Brown arrived at Heinz Field on Sunday expecting to play. However, he was benched and left the game at halftime without taking the field. Brown's actions continued to strain his relationship with the Steelers, reaching a breaking point. In February 2019, he publicly requested a trade after the season ended. Despite initially nixing a trade to the Buffalo Bills, he was eventually traded to the Oakland Raiders for a 3rd and 5th round pick. Shortly after the trade, Brown publicly criticized Juju for his fumble in the Saints game, marking the beginning of a series of attacks against his former teammate. Before the start of training camp, Brown encountered a mishap during cryotherapy, resulting in frostbite in his feet, sidelining him for much of the camp. In August 2019, he filed a grievance to continue wearing his preferred helmet, which the NFL had banned for safety reasons. Brown vehemently insisted on wearing his helmet and even threatened to retire if he couldn't. Despite his efforts, arbitrators twice denied his requests, ultimately leading Brown to accept a new helmet. A month later, Brown found himself in hot water again. After being fined $54,000 for missing team meetings, he had a heated confrontation with Raiders GM Mike Mayock, who was reportedly threatening him and needed to be restrained by teammates. Following the incident, Brown apologized and expressed his readiness to play and support his team. However, he then demanded to be released by the Raiders just 24 hours later, after they voided the guaranteed money in his contract due to his conduct. Oakland complied, and Brown was swiftly signed by the New England Patriots in the same day. His tenure with the Patriots was short-lived. Despite making an impactful debut in Week 2, Brown's time in New England was overshadowed by allegations of sexual assault. As more accusations emerged, the Patriots cut ties with Brown on September 20. Brown remained without a team for the rest of the season and contemplated retirement during the offseason. However, he ultimately decided against it, expressing his desire to continue playing. Nevertheless, he was suspended for the first 8 weeks of the following season due to violations of the league's personal conduct policy. After serving his suspension, Brown signed with the Tampa Bay Buccaneers, reuniting with Tom Brady and contributing to their second-half push and eventual Super Bowl victory, earning him a Super Bowl ring. In the following season, Brown remained with the Buccaneers but faced a setback when he was suspended for 3 games for presenting a fake COVID-19 vaccination card to the league. However, the most notorious moment of Brown's career occurred during a game against the New York Jets. In the third quarter, Brown, while on the sideline, removed his jersey and pants, tossed some of his gear into the stands, and abruptly ran off the field mid-play. The incident went viral, sparking a wave of memes across social media platforms. Buccaneers head coach Bruce Arians swiftly announced in a post-game press conference that Brown was no longer part of the team. Arians later remarked that he had never witnessed anything like it in all his years in football. Brown later alleged that the Buccaneers had tried to cover up his injuries, but this marked the end of his football career. Since his departure from the Buccaneers, Brown has been involved in a string of controversies and legal issues. Recently, a video surfaced showing him exposing himself in a pool in Dubai, and he has also been served with an arrest warrant on charges of domestic violence. In addition to these troubling incidents, Brown has engaged in a series of provocative actions aimed at his former teammate Tom Brady. This includes selling t-shirts featuring a photo of Brown and Brady's now ex-wife, Gisele Bündchen, embracing. These actions came shortly after news of Brady and Bündchen's divorce broke. Brown has also posted various tweets and pictures trolling Brady. Critics have questioned Brown's decision to attack and troll Brady, especially considering the support Brady had shown him, including opening his home to Brown. Nonetheless, these actions have only added to the bridges Brown has burned through his career. Certainly all this erratic and troubling behavior must have some underlying cause, right? A prevailing theory is that chronic traumatic encephalopathy, or CTE, brought on by repeated head trauma and concussions, plays a significant role in Antonio Brown's transformation. American football is notorious for its potential to cause serious brain injuries, and one common symptom of CTE is changes in mood and frequent mood swings. Individuals with CTE may also exhibit violent outbursts, increased frustration, and a loss of interest in activities they once enjoyed. Considering AB's numerous outbursts in recent years, his contemplation of retirement, and his frustrations with various teams and situations, it's plausible to suggest that Brown is grappling with CTE. It's worth noting that symptoms of CTE often don't manifest immediately, as it can take years for the effects of brain injuries to become apparent. For those who buy into the CTE theory surrounding Brown, many point to that infamous hit he took from Burfict in 2015, suggesting that the real effects began to show a few years later. Brown's history in high school and college football also adds to the wear and tear on his body, with numerous hits likely sustained before his NFL career even began. Suppose indeed CTE is a factor in Brown's behavior today. In that case, his story serves as a stark warning about the dangers of head trauma and its long-term effects. It's a cautionary tale of how even the most talented athletes can spiral downward rapidly. While I'm no medical expert, the evidence certainly lends credence to the idea that Brown may be suffering from CTE. However, proving it is another matter entirely. The CTE can only be diagnosed posthumously. However, not everyone buys into the CTE explanation for Brown's behavior. Another theory suggests that Brown's personality traits were always present, and with fame and fortune, they simply became more pronounced. Former Steeler Ryan Clark shared a story from their time together in 2012, recounting a practice where Brown clashed with coaches and teammates shortly after signing a lucrative contract. Clark believed that giving Brown a big contract would amplify his ego, a sentiment he expressed years later when he hosted Brown on the Pivot podcast. During the podcast, they discussed the 2012 incident, with Brown suggesting jealousy from veteran players like Clark fueled the confrontation. Clark, however, disputed this claim, asserting that money had indeed changed Brown. Despite their differing perspectives, the conversation provided a platform for both men to air their views, even if they still disagreed in certain details. Antonio Brown is a now-turned rapper, making some headlines with his music. Antonio Brown's concert took place on July 22, 2022, at Hard Rock Stadium in Miami Gardens, Florida, United States, during the Rolling Loud Festival in Miami. However, his performance failed to impress NFL audiences. Later, he was seen in Tallahassee after his rap show at Potbelly's, a well-known college spot near Florida State University. Antonio Brown's on-field performance speaks volumes, with stats that rival Hall of Fame caliber. However, the barrage of off-field issues he's faced cannot be brushed aside. If, indeed, football-related brain damage has played a notable role in his behavior, Brown's story sheds light on a much broader issue with the league. His struggles may not be unique, but they certainly have the potential to initiate crucial conversations and drive changes across the NFL. Do you think CTE had an effect on his behavior? Or was Antonio Brown always like this, but the Steelers organization were just able to keep his troublesome behavior under wraps? Let us know in the comments below.